After studying this module, you shall be able to learn about the concept of lateralization or hemispheric specialization, know about different methods to study hemispheric specialization, understand major functions of the left hemisphere, learn about major functions of the right hemisphere. Our body is bilaterally symmetrical. We have bilateral distribution of all organs of the body. Even the brain, which most people view as unitary and indivisible, is governed by this general principle of bilateral duplication. The brain comprises of two halves called the left and the right cerebral hemispheres. They are connected only via the cerebral commissural fibers connecting them. The two hemispheres are mirror images of each other in appearance. However, they are distinct in their function. This is referred to as the hemispheric specialization or the lateralization of function. The major functions of left and right hemispheres are essentially similar. They have contralateral control over the body. However, because of certain tasks being performed by each hemisphere with greater emphasis and precision, they are known for their specialization of functions. Cerebral cortex is the most distinguishing feature of human brain. It is connected by a thick bundle of fibers called the corpus callosum. Lateralization is understood in terms of the fact that the two halves of the brain's cerebral cortex may function independently and execute different functions. The lateralization theory, developed by Nobel Prize winner Roger Sperry and Robert Ornstein, helps us to understand behavior, personality, creativity, and the ability to reason and perform various tasks. Each of the two hemispheres receives sensory information from the side of the body opposite to it and controls only that side. For most of us, the left hemisphere is largely responsible for verbal abilities such as spoken and written language and positive emotions such as joy. The right hemisphere handles spatial abilities such as judging distances, reading maps, and recognizing geometric shapes, and negative emotion such as distress. Most researchers on the left-right specialization have been done through examining patients who have had damage in one part of the brain. One of the earliest of investigators to study this was Paul Broca in 1861. His study indicated that some language functions were concentrated on the left side of the brain. Since Broca's early work, there has been much more research done into the processing of language. Several specific areas of brain have been identified in this context. For most people, these areas reside in the left hemisphere. In most of the right-handed people, language is controlled by the left hemisphere. Left-handers have a more even distribution of language in both hemispheres. The left hemisphere specializes in analytical thought, that is, it deals with hard facts. Specialities of the left hemisphere include language skills, skill movement, and analytical time sequence processing. The right hemisphere specializes in the softer aspects of life with reading, faces, music, global holistic processing, and understanding of metaphors, expressing and reading emotions, copying of designs, discrimination of shapes, understanding geometric properties, etc. In every task, one hemisphere is dominant, but the other hemisphere participates to this extent. During problem solving, we use the left hemisphere for the information gathering stage, but we use the right hemisphere during brainstorming and incubation of ideas. Methods to study hemispheric specialization. Much of the theory of left-right specialization has been developed through examining patients who've had physical defects in one part of the brain. One of the earliest of these investigators was Paul Broca in 1861. His study indicated that some language functions were concentrated in the left-hand side of the brain. Since Broca's work there has been much research in the processing of language. Several specific areas of the brain have been identified which play a part in language. For most people, these all reside in the left hemisphere. Early researchers on cerebral lateralization compared the effects of left hemisphere and right hemisphere lesions. Now, there are other techniques like sodium amytal test, the dichotic listening test, and the functional brain imaging. Sodium amytal test. This involves injection of some small amount of sodium amytal into the carotid artery on one side of the neck. The injection anesthetizes the hemisphere on the site for a few minutes, thus allowing the capacities of the hemispheres to be measured via producing deficits due to anesthesia. Dichotic listening test. In this test, 3 pairs of spoken digits are presented through earphones. The digits of each pair are presented simultaneously in each ear. Kimura found that most people report slightly more digits presented to the right ear than the left, indicating the left hemisphere dominance for language. Functional brain imaging, also known as PET scanning. In this technique, while the subject is engaged in some activity such as reading, the activity of the brain is monitored by positron emission tomography or functional magnetic resonance imaging (fMRI). On language tests, this technique reveals greater activity in the left hemisphere than in the right one. Studies involving bilateral stimulus presentations. Lateralized stimulus presentations has been used in several tasks involving perception. Stimuli can be presented to the right and left hands for tactile perception and subsequent performance recorded. It has been possible to demonstrate lateral asymmetries when fairly fine manipulation or tactile exploration is required. The projection of tactile information to the cortex involves both ipsilateral and contralateral pathways, making it difficult to be sure of appropriate lateralization. However, a dichaptic technique originally developed by Whittleson and involving bilateral simultaneous stimulation has been used in a number of studies and has produced interesting results. Lateral eye movements have also been used in this line of research. Kinsborn initiated this work by the observation that solving verbal problems was often accompanied by conjugate gaze, deviation to the right, and solving spatial problems by gaze deviation to the left. He mentioned that hemispheric activation produced eye movements towards the opposite side of space. Following much debate about the reliability and validity of such observations, recent reviews have suggested that lateral eye movements can be reliably elicited and that they do reflect hemispheric specialization of this kind. Some lateral asymmetries have also been observed in free vision. These lateral asymmetries in aesthetic composition, although the mechanism behind such phenomena is under dispute. It has also been reported that the left side of the face has been more commonly presented in formal portraiture and that this side of the face is also judged as more emotionally intense. Asymmetries in spatial orientation and judgment, as seen in map reading and direction finding, have also been demonstrated. Finally, there are lateral performance asymmetries, of which the most important is handedness. Difference between preferred and non-preferred hands can be studied as one aspect of cerebral organization. Various aspects of manual skill have been measured, and there has been a renewal of interest in tapping performance. As with tactile presentation, inferences about cerebral lateralization are complicated by the bilateral nature of certain aspects of neural organization. The torque test, which measures the direction of drawing tendencies as clockwise or anti-clockwise, has been a favorite mechanism to understand lateralization. Because of methodological complications, such investigations are not considered as satisfactory as divided visual field and dichotic listening research. All experimental data have nevertheless some part to play, and development of techniques in neuropsychology is focusing on finding new ways to study hemispheric specialization. Experimental studies on hemispheric asymmetry. Highly innovative experimental manipulations have been undertaken to study two sides of the brain as they behave differently. The two hemispheres of the neocortex are connected to each other by a bundle of nerves called corpus callosum, and those of the transitional or paleocortex are joined by the anterior commissure. In 1960s, two Californian neurosurgeons, Philip Vogel and Joseph Bogen, found that a sectioning of corpus callosum and anterior commissure, a procedure called commissurotomy, was successful in reducing seizure activity in intractable epileptic patients for whom no anti-seizure medication or other treatment had been previously effective. It was also found to be effective in blocking the spread of seizures from one side of the brain to another. The functional asymmetry of the two hemispheres has been studied with the help of split brain caused by serving the corpus callosum, which joins the two halves of the brain. In a normal situation, stimuli that appear to the left of the point on which a subject is fixating are projected initially only to the right occipital cortex, while those to the right of fixation in the right visual field are projected to the left occipital cortex. Therefore, if the subject's fixation is controlled, this divided visual field technique can be used to present visual information to either the left or the right hemisphere alone. While in normal subjects, the information is then distributed through the entire brain. In split brain patients, it is confined to the hemisphere of original reception. If the visual stimulus is shown in the right visual field and projects to the left hemisphere, which possesses speech, then the stimulus can be verbally identified and can be picked out from a set of possible responses by the right hand, also controlled by the left hemisphere. The studies done by Roger Sperry and his associate Michael Gazzaniga are examples of pioneer research in this context. In one of the studies involving commissurotomy, the patient was asked to look directly at a small dot in the center of a screen, and suddenly a picture of a cup appeared at the right of the dot. He was asked to report what he saw. The verbal response cup came up instantly. If another picture, for example, a spoon was flashed to the left of the dot, the verbal response was missing. The image of the spoon was projected to the right hemisphere alone and without the commissures to transmit the information to the left side. The verbal response could not be given. However, with more experimental manipulations, the authors were able to show that the right hemisphere alone was capable of making a non-verbal response to the word showing its comprehension. If the patient was asked to reach under an opaque screen with the left hand and select the object that had been presented, the spoon was selected. Similarly, right hemispheric information could be communicated by having the patient to draw an image with the left hand that represented the word in the left visual field. The right hemisphere was able to communicate the idea of spoon in a non-verbal way through its control over the contralateral hand. Meanwhile, integrations to the brain stem kept the behavior of the person coherent but do not permit unification of consciousness. Testing a split brain patient involves control of orienting movements with one eye covered and stimuli flashed for 1/10 second on a screen, or objects felt out of sight on a carpet so no telltale sounds are fed back to the subject's ears. Using conflicting auditory stimuli in earphones, division of hearing may be demonstrated. The basic pattern of response to visual stimuli occurs whether the task is to match a visual picture to a real object, to another picture, or to a word, or to try to name it, or whether it is to match a word to another word, to a picture, or to an object, or to speak. The connection between the two hemispheres and the hands is depicted in the above figure. The normal participants with the direct pathways A, the right hand responds to the right visual field and only one hemisphere, the left, is involved. With the indirect pathway in normal participants, the left hand responds to the right visual field and both hemispheres and the corpus callosum are involved. In split brain participants, the direct pathway still operates, but the indirect pathways is unable to function. Some interesting phenomena may be observed as a result of serving of connection between the two hemispheres. If a word with two component parts, for example heart, is presented very briefly so that the subject is fixating between the E and the A, the patient will say that they saw art. With their left hand, they will pick out from among the array of possible responses him as the stimulus. This behavior can be seen at its clearest in the chimeric figure experiments. Chimeric figures are constructed of two half figures arranged so that the patients fixate upon the vertical division between the two half stimuli. These stimuli may be constructed from outline drawings or more complex figural stimuli, naming figures on the two sides or matching one of another object among an array using either the same or the opposite hand could be the task given to them to perform. Hand postures may be set on one hand to be reproduced by the opposite hand or a representation of a gesture presented in one of the visual fields to be reproduced by the ipsilateral or contralateral hand. There is a rich variety of possibilities for the ingenious investigator, and many of the modifications have been made on this kind of experiment. The results indicate that split brain patients have difficulty integrating information across the body midline, pointing with one hand to places on the opposite side of the body, passing information from one hand to the other, or relating visual information on one side of the body to movement and sensation on the other. Specialization of the left hemisphere. Language abilities are the most highly lateralized of all cognitive abilities. Mark Dix was struck with the fact that each one of the brain damaged patients that he examined and found having speech problems had damage in the left hemisphere. Most language disturbances occur after damage to the left side of the brain. Broca found that damage to a region of the inferior left frontal lobe causes a language deficit called expressive aphasia, later called Broca's aphasia. Aphasia is a brain damage produced deficit in the ability to produce language. Broca's aphasia is a severe reduction in the ability to write and speak, even though the patient could comprehend written and spoken language normally. The ability to process language inwardly is thus intact. Wernicke identified another language deficit called Wernicke's aphasia or comprehension aphasia. This results from damage to the superior portion of the left temporal lobe. In this type of aphasia, the deficit lies in the input or the comprehension of language rather than speaking up the given thoughts. The person may be able to speak but is shallow in his content and conveys little or no information. Right hemisphere is specialized less to what words are being said than to how the words are meant. Moreover, Albert and Obler proposed a theory asserting that the right hemisphere played a major role in learning of a second language when the second language is learned informally. If the second language is learned formally, the left hemispheric involvement in processing the second language is even greater than in processing the first language. Language specialization in the left hemisphere has been found to be affected by gender. If in one of the investigations, McGlone, male victims of unilateral strokes were 3 times more likely to suffer from aphasia than female victims. Several brain imaging studies have been carried out in this context. It has finally been concluded that perhaps females use both hemispheres in the performance of language-related tasks, while males have a much more specific lateralization in this context. Handedness is another significant factor affecting language specialization. Imaging studies with left-handed individuals showed a good number of cases with language functions carried out more predominantly by the right hemisphere. In the case of some left-handed individuals, language centers are located bilaterally. The left hemisphere is also specialized for all kinds of reasoning capacities: verbal, numerical, abstract reasoning, problem solving, decision making, and the other higher order cognitive abilities are also said to reside in the left hemisphere. Left side of the brain is also considered as the site of some positive emotions and some personality characteristics. Loss of this hemisphere is most related to the loss of life skills and general lack of adaptation to the environment. Specialization of the right hemisphere. The most investigated area in relation with the right hemisphere is that of emotional comprehension and emotional expression. It has also been studied as an integral part of the linguistic expression and comprehension. Investigations of brain damaged patients and those involving brain imaging techniques have been carried out in this context. Many studies have suggested that the right hemisphere is dominant for the perception of emotion from both facial expressions and prosody. Together with bodily gestures, prosody makes a major contribution to the richness of human communication. It is these aspects of language that the right hemisphere is firmly in control of, and it plays a significant role in the verbal expression of attitudes. It is a right hemispheric dominance for producing emotional facial expressions. Facial expressions appear to develop sooner and to be of greater magnitude on the left side of the face. This side of the face is controlled by the right hemisphere. The same asymmetry of facial expressions has been documented in monkeys. Patients who have suffered right hemisphere damage display varying degrees of emotional flatness. It is known as the syndrome of eprosodia. There may be motor aspects of prosody. The individual feels the emotional content of language but fails to convey it in terms of speech. In other cases, called sensory eprosodia, the deficit involves the input aspect of prosody. The individual speech can be spontaneously modulated to reflect various emotional levels, but he cannot imitate the emotional tone of others or comprehend the emotion being conveyed by them. Another syndrome related to lack of emotionality is that such patients often show an indifference to their problems. Inappropriate denial, pathological laughing, inappropriate catastrophic feelings, pathological crying has been observed in the right hemispheric lesion patients. Therefore, it has been hypothesized that the right hemisphere might be more associated with negative and the left with positive emotions. The right hemisphere is also specialized in the ability to recognize familiar faces. Lesions of the right hemisphere led to facial agnosia or prosopagnosia. This is an impaired recognition of previously known familiar faces. Right hemisphere seems to be more specialized for the spatial skills, locomotion and spatial orientation. The functions of the right hemisphere are linked with the analysis of space and geometrical shapes and forms. Damage to the right hemisphere makes it difficult for the person to read maps, perceive spatial relations and recognize complex geometrical forms. People with such damage also have trouble talking about things like maps and complex geometrical forms. The right hemisphere appears to be involved in organizing a narrative, selecting and assembling the elements. The right hemisphere is also known as the seat of artistic expression, music production and comprehension, creativity, aesthetic sense, and even intuition and empathy. Functions of two hemispheres are summarized as follows. Vision, left hemisphere dominance in terms of words and letters, and right hemisphere dominance, faces, geometric patterns, emotional expressions, etc. Audition, In left hemisphere dominance, language sounds, and in right hemisphere dominance, non-language sounds and music. In case of touch, left hemisphere dominance, there is no such specialization, and in case of right hemisphere dominance, tactile patterns and braille. In case of movements in left hemisphere dominance, complex movements, ipsilateral movements, and in case of right hemisphere dominance, movements in spatial patterns. In case of memory in the left hemisphere dominance, verbal memory and finding meaning in memories, and in case of right hemisphere dominance, non-verbal memory, perceptual aspects of memory. For language, in left hemisphere dominance, speech, reading, writing and arithmetic, and in right hemisphere dominance, emotional content. In spatial ability, there is no as such specialization in the left hemisphere dominance, and in case of right hemisphere, mental rotation of shapes, geometry, direction and distance. Several experimental studies related to the specific functions of the right hemisphere have been reported. Those related to the spatial ability were reported by Funnell, Corbelis and Gazzaniga and Kessier. Disorders of spatial perceptions like contralateral neglect, which tend to be associated with right hemisphere damage, are also reported. Superiority of the right hemisphere at perceiving facial expressions of emotions was concluded on the basis of study done by Bowers and Tompkins and Mater. Superiority of the left hemisphere in perception of digits and that of perception of melodies in the right has also been established. Right temporal lobe lesions are more likely to disrupt music discriminations than are left temporal lobe lesions, as indicated by several brain imaging studies. Both the left and the right hemispheres have the ability to remember, but the left hemispheres play a greater role in memory for verbal material, whereas right hemisphere for non-verbal material. Thus, left hemisphere is the logical language hemisphere and right is the emotional spatial hemisphere. Handedness and linguistic specialization. Knecht et al. Assessed the relationship between handedness and lateralization of speech mechanisms. They found that right hemisphere speech dominance was seen in only 4% of the right-handed people, in 15% of the ambidextrous people and 27% of the left-handed people. It was also found that if the left hemisphere is malformed or damaged early in life, language dominance is likely to be taken over by the right hemisphere. The left hemisphere of approximately 90% of the total population is dominant for speech. Hardrick and Petronovich proposed that a left-hander individual with a family history of left-handedness has a greater chance of having language processed on both left and right hemispheres. The left-handed individual without a family history of left-handedness, according to his theory, is neurologically similar to a member of the right-handed population. Sachs reviewed the studies between 1935 and 1973 in some detail and analyzed the mathematical fit of the data to some of the models that have been proposed for left-handed speech organization. The results of these analyses clearly support a model in which many left-handers have speeches in both hemispheres. The best fitting model was that in which 76% of the left-handers have bilateral speech representation, 25% left lateralized and none right lateralized. For right-hander individuals, the best model was 95% left lateralized, non-bilateral and 5% right lateralized. Another clear piece of evidence that right and left-hander individuals differ in the way in which language is organized in their brains comes from the WADA test, in which intracarotid sodium amytal is injected to depress temporarily the function of one of the two hemispheres, a technique developed to provide surgeons with information on speech lateralization. A report of the accumulated data from patients in Montreal who were tested by this method was published by Ramesson and Milner. Of the patients without early left hemisphere brain damage, the vast majority of right-hander had left-sided speech representation, as did 70% of the left-hander, and the remaining 30% of left-handers were divided equally between right and bilateral speech. One of the conclusions about left-handers and aphasia is that left-handers are considered to suffer more severely from lesions that affect speech in the initial stages of the illness, but then make more rapid and complete recovery from aphasia than do right-hander. It is presumed that this is due to the relative bilateralization of the language representation, so that an undamaged hemisphere is more likely to be able to take over the functions previously performed by its damaged partner. Theories of cerebral asymmetry. A number of theories have been proposed to explain the difference between the two hemispheres. They are briefly mentioned as analytical synthetic theory. This theory proposed that there are two modes of thinking, an analytical mode and a synthetic mode, which have become segregated during the course of evolution in the left and the right hemisphere respectively. The left hemisphere operates in an analytical, logical, computer-like fashion. It analyzes stimulus information input. The right hemisphere is a synthesizer and is concerned with overall stimulus configuration. It processes information in terms of gestalts or wholes. Motor theory. According to this theory, the left hemisphere is specialized not for the control of speech per se, but for the control of fine movements, of which speech is only one category. Linguistic theory. This theory proposed that the primary role of the left hemisphere is language. This is in contrast to the theory which stated that the primary function of the left hemisphere is reasoning, analytical thought, logic, and skill motor activity. Summary. Neurexos divided brain into two equal hemispheres. Corpus callosum, the bundle of fibers, joins the two hemispheres. Split brain research has significantly contributed to the study of hemispheric specialization. The left hemisphere is specialized for language, analytical thought, reasoning, logic, positive emotions, and learning and memory. Language specialization and handedness has indicated slight difference in hemispheric specialization for language in the left and the right-hander individuals. The right hemisphere is specialized for expression, comprehension and production of emotions, recognition of facial expressions, aesthetic judgment, music abilities, creativity and spatial orientation. An integration of the two hemispheres is essential for intellectual and empathetic living.